Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner, and I did it again. I just joined another design team. This time I'm going to be creating for Scrappy Tails Crafts and Miss Sabrina Lavelle. I'm going to be doing a part-time design team spot, meaning I'm going to be doing one project a month on video, unless of course I decide to do more. So today what I'm going to do is do a quick Scrappy Tails Crafts haul video and create the first project that's actually going to be for an Instagram hop. Now this isn't going to be my regular video for Scrappy Tails. That's not going to be starting until next month, July. So here are the fun goodies that Miss Sabrina sent to me. First, we've got the Tropical Birds stamp set, and oh my god, this thing is huge. This is a 6x8 stamp set. Now, so far, all I've done is taken the things out of the packaging. I have not tried out any of these yet, so I can't say how everything is, but this is adorable. We've got a couple of parrots, we've got a cockatoo, we've got a couple of flamingos, some greenery for everything, and it's all things tropics, which is perfect for me because, you know, I'm down here in Florida. We've also got some real fun sentiments. Aloha, I will stand by you. Flamingo standing, yes. Let's flamingo. Hope your day is outstanding. Hello, gorgeous. You are my sunshine. Stand tall. Tickled pink for you, and you are my paradise. So I am loving this stamp set. It just is so fun. Then we've got a couple of cover plate dies. The first one is called the Triangle Pattern Cover Plate die, and it cuts out this fun design here. Then there is the Slimline Tiki Cover Plate die, and this to me looks kind of like basket weave, or basically anything weaves. I think this would work real good for a lot of kinds of backgrounds. And then I've got two more dies. These are both birds. So we have got a parrot. I mean, he's huge. And then we've got a cockatoo. And these little magnets that I've got that I'm holding my dies on, these are basically right at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So you can tell how big these guys are. So these are going to be really fun to play with. I think what I'm going to start off though, I think I'm going to start off easy. I've got a lot of stuff planned for this week. I think I'm going to start off with the stamp set, and I may use the cover plate die from this one for background, but I haven't decided for sure. So let me go ahead and get out my Misty and start doing a little stamping. Okay, I'm going to start off by just stamping out some of the images in some Gina K amalgam ink. And I'm going to try to start using up some of my scraps. I found another scrap bin and I did a little consolidation. And now I am way overflowing with white strips and cardstock. So I've definitely got to get that taken care of. Let's see how this did. Even for a first stamping, that turned out pretty good. Now, these are brand new stamps, like I said, so sometimes you do need to stamp them a few times. Of course, I typically stamp most of mine multiple times, and all of the lines are pretty fine, so I think that is pretty cool. She's got a lot of detail in her stamps, so that is super awesome. Let me add a little bit more of this down, and I'm going to grab out my alcohol markers and start coloring these guys up. Okay, so I'm going to start off with some of the greens. One thing I would love to hear from you guys, if you could comment down below, is how you like coloring videos. I don't really do a lot of those because it takes quite a bit of time, but if you guys are interested in real-time coloring, I could definitely start adding that back into the mix. It's been a while since I've done that. Usually, and what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to get started, and then I'm going to start kind of speeding it up some so it doesn't take forever for you to watch the video, and you can get onto other things in your busy schedule. For the greenery, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of shading down at the bottom and some of the darker color in the center, and then do the rest of the leaves in a lighter color. So I'm using AG4 for my darkest, and again, these are Spectrum Noir alcohol markers, and I'm using AG2 for the lightest. I might bring in another one depending on if it actually needs it to blend the two together, because I don't really want any harsh lines between the two. Here's the thing, when it comes to natural things like leaves and flowers, there's really no wrong way to do it, because nature does what it wants to do. I mean, I will look at some of the stuff in my yard. This monstera I'm working on right now, we do have some of those. But even looking at one of the leaves, there's going to be some of the leaves that don't look quite the same because they didn't get the right nutrition. They got too much of something and not enough of something else. Who knows, right? I mean, I don't know all those details, but my husband does, because he's been playing in the yard for the last couple of years and he's learning all the things. So for my hibiscus, one thing about this flower is there are so many different variations. It really doesn't matter what colors you decide to use. So I'm going to use some reds and oranges for mine. Adding just the darkest color, the red, down here in the center, and then I'm going to bring in my OR1, which is my lighter orange, and then I'll bring in the OR2 to kind of blend the two together. So just adding the CR11 right in the middle there. And I am going to bring in a little bit of this OR2 just around the edges where Sabrina has already added some of the line. Now this is one of my most used markers, so the nib isn't quite what it used to be. But I am trying to get some of those fine lines in. And I'll come back in with my OR1 to fill in the rest there. I am kind of trying to miss the stamen so that I can try to keep that one a brighter color. I may come back in with some yellow if I don't really touch it too much, so. That is looking kind of good. Let me come back in with some of that orange. I may come back in with that darker coral color too. And you can do as much or as little as you want. You just keep going over it until it looks like what you want it to do. Okay, and then for the yellow, I'm going to use my CT2. It's not the lightest of that citrusy color, so it should show up a little bit better. The CT1 is sometimes too light. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to color up the other ones as well, and then I can start working on my cockatoo. Okay, so now that all of the greenery and the flowers are done, I'm going to make an attempt on this cockatoo. I have not done one of these birds before. So I am looking at Google, I'm looking at some images and kind of got an idea of how I think it's supposed to go, and I'm just going to wing it. Birds have wings, I'm going to wing it. Anyway, I'm starting off with my CR4. Most of the images I'm showing have got this rosy cheek area, so I'm going to go ahead and do that just with the CR4. It is a corally color, and it's pinkish, but kind of pinkish orange. Now that I put it down, it looks more pink than pinkish orange, but that's okay. And next I'm going to go in with some yellows. So I'm going back to that CT citrusy color family, and I'm going to try using my CT4 as my darkest, and then CT1 as my lightest. And I am kind of guessing where everything is supposed to go based on some of the pictures, because all the pictures are different. So I'm going to say that this piece here should be yellow on my little bird. So I'm just going to kind of outline that in this darkish color and then come back in and darken up some of the areas where there might be some shadow from his feathers there. And then go in with the CT1 and see how that blends. If I need to, I can always come in with a medium tone. Or even some more of the dark. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Don't have as much definition as I'd like, so I'm just going to bring in a little bit more of this darker color around the edges and then blend those out. Okay, I've got my CT2. I'm going to see if that helps a little bit too. Any type of art is basically experimentation. So I'm going to say that that looks pretty good. And then on most of the images I'm looking at, the birds are mostly in shades of gray. So I'm going to use my IG family of markers. And starting off with the very lightest and then go a little bit darker as I go. At some point, I don't want it to at some point turn into a black or dark gray. So I want to start off with something that's going to be the lightest, and then I can go back in and take care of the rest. Also looks like on most of these, the chest area is going to be the lightest. So I'm going to come in with this lightest of grays and do that area to start off with. I'm just covering the whole thing, just doing some easy coloring there. And I'll do the same thing on the underside of his tail. Okay, and I'm going to take a look at the IG2. And come right here, right where his wings start to cover. This is also giving me a basic idea of what these colors are going to look like, so that I don't go, as I mentioned, too dark. Okay. So I'm going to say that IG1 did really well for that lighter area on his chest. And I'm going to say that IG2 did okay for being a little bit of shadowing. So I'm going to start with my IG2 for the wings, because I do want the wings to be a darker shade of gray. And then I can come in with the next one, which is IG3. Okay, so I think I need a little bit darker on that wing, although that is looking pretty good. So just using some flicking motions to color that in. Okay, so I think that wing looks pretty nice. Come back over on the other side, kind of give it a little bit extra shadowing too. Okay. Next we'll go on to his neck, and to me it looks like this is basically carrying on what we've got from the wings. So I'll come in with the IG3, yes, IG3, which is my lighter color, kind of fill in some of that, and then I can come back in with my IG4 to add a little bit of contrast there. Okay. And since these are the colors that we're working with, I'm going to also just bring this darker color down around. Yes, this is the darker one. But bring that down around the darker part on his tail. Okay, and now for the tuft of his hair, I'm going to go in with that yellow again. I see that that is showing up in a lot of the images. Not all of them, but in a lot of them. So we're going to start with the CT1. And do the same thing with this entire front of his face. And then I'll come in with the CT4 to add the depth. And then just do a little bit of blending. Okay, and then kind of do the same kind of shading in the parts where Sabrina has added some details to the front of his face. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do his beak in the same colors. Okay, and of course we can't forget his little feet. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of brown for that branch. I think this color will be okay. Actually, this one kind of, no. Let's do medium browns instead. I know my medium browns will look good. The EBs, it goes from being a greenish brown to a light greenish brown to being a very dark brown really, really quickly. And if I forget which one it is, then I could mess this up real good. I am going to come back in with one of the darker, that I know is darker, EB colors. Plus, if it turns out it's one of the lighter colors that I don't really like that much, it won't mess up over this medium brown. Okay, I'm going to say that is done. Next, what I'm going to do is fussy cut all of these out and start assembling a card. Okay, so there is a die set that you can get to go along with the stamp set. I don't have that, so that's why I'm going to be doing some fussy cutting. And I am going to try to cut fairly close to the line of the image, because I'm kind of wanting these to be accents, and I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to use them on the card. And I kind of also want to make sure that if I do overlap any of my images, that there's not that really bold. I may actually try to go on the line on this. I'm not going to be able to do on the line with these, so that's why I'm going to go with doing it just outside and try not to go too far out. Like I said, I want it to look mostly seamless, but these are going to be so close. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it. The easiest way also to be able to do your fussy cutting is, for number one, get some really nice sharp scissors that also have a good point. Some of the scissors I've used in the past don't always cut all the way to the end of my scissors. So yeah, if it winds up causing a little bit of an issue if I try to do a sharp turn or anything like that. These have been working great though. These are Fiskars, and you can get them off of Amazon. I'll leave a link down below for you guys, along with all the other products that I'm using today for your convenience. Plus, if you do use any of my affiliate links, it really does help me out, so I always appreciate that. But having some good scissors definitely helps you to be able to do this better. Also, you turn your paper, not your scissors, when you are cutting. So that's one of them down. Now I just have to get the rest of these and my main image cut out. I picked out some pattern paper that I have recently put back into my stash, and I'm going to stamp a sentiment on the front. So I'm pretty much just looking to see, how do I want this to be laid out? So I think that's where I want my stamp, and since it's 2 layers, that's the matting layer, I'm just going to shift it down to the corner. And then my mat can hold on to my paper, and everything will be positioned just perfect. And I'm going to go back in with the same Gina K amalgam ink and stamp out that sentiment. one more time. And I think that is going to look pretty good. The more I look at this, the more I think that it's not quite what I want. So I went ahead and re-stamped out the sentiment on a piece of white cardstock. I'm going to trim that down and see about putting that over where I did the original. And I think I am going to fussy cut around this one too, kind of bubble cut around those scripty words. So it's not quite as big of a sentiment, doesn't cover as much of the background. Okay, so I think that will look better. And I can have it right over the top. But still, the bird is still getting a little bit lost. So I think I'm going to pop him up onto just a circle die cut that I've had in my stash. Go ahead and adhere him down and then kind of pop him up, and then I can add my couple of extra little flowers and greenery along to that, and I think that'll look pretty good. Undecided as to whether or not I want to pop up the sentiment, but I think I probably will. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And then I can pop him up on here. And yes, I do think I want to put some foam tape behind my sentiment too. I'm going to try to put it exactly over the top of where my previous sentiment is. Okay, there we go. Add some foam to the back of my bird. Oh, I'm loving that. That does look nice. Let's see if I can find a way to incorporate these little guys in there too, because I do like that little bit of color. Yes, I think that's going to look good. Let me go ahead and glue down the bottom leaf. I think I'm going to pop the flower up. Okay, and get a monstera leaf. And then I can pop up my hibiscus flower. And then I will pop up that second hibiscus flower. Oh, that is lovely. I am loving this card. So this finishes up my first project that I'm doing for the Scrappy Tails design team. This is part of the Instagram hop, so be sure to check out my Instagram. There's going to be a link to it down below in the description, and there is a giveaway if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me, like I said, this is my first one. But I'm loving this. Also, be sure to check out this playlist as I get more videos up dealing with Scrappy Tails. There's going to be some videos over in that playlist. Also going to add a few more of my other coloring videos so that you can take a look at those. You guys have a wonderful day, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. See you next time.